What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the second episode of The Corner. I'm your host, Cody Carpentier. You can find me on Twitter at Carpentier NFL, on Patreon at Carpentier NFL, and right here on YouTube. We are back, week number 2. We had an okay week 1. We were 50% across the board on 10 bets. Happy. It's all right. Jerry Jeudy over Cortland Sutton. We took that. Jair's going to shut down Callaway. We're hitting on all this stuff, breaking down cornerbacks, wide receiver matchups. This week, I might have a special guest coming on here in just a minute, but first we're going to break down a couple of my fades of the week. Laviska Shenault's going to be your first one. He gets Bryce Callahan. Callahan's been a mainstay in the top 15 in the playerprofiler.com cornerback rankings since the start of 2020. Denver just lost Ronald Darby. They look for Trevor Lawrence to target Chark and Marvin Jones early on. Like it's Surtain, it's Kyle Fuller. They're good. Surtain's good. He's going to be great in the league, but I'm not counting on his first start against DJ Chark getting targeted 12 plus times. Is he going to get another 12 targets? I don't know. I don't think so, but still it's not a great matchup for him in his first game. I don't hate Laviska. I just don't like him as much as I like Antonio Brown this week. Deontay Johnson. I'm starting both of those guys over Laviska in a couple of leagues. Number 2, Brandon Cooks. I love Brandon Cooks, but the matchup this week is bad. Denzel Ward, number 2 in the cornerback rankings. Speed in Cleveland, speed for Cooks. That's also part of it. Denzel Ward's just locked down. He's the next coming of Jair. It's Jair and Denzel going forward. I think that's going to be your new age Ramsey, Sherman, Revis thing. And then with that, I'm coupling that with the Houston Texans team under of 17 points this week. I think they're going into Cleveland. I think Cleveland's going to control this game. They're going to run down the throats of Houston, and it's not really going to be much of a fight coming from the Houston Texans. Now, going to props, I have one that I love this week. I'm going to keep that for the very end. But right now, I'm going to bring in my man from RotoWire. He hosts Beating the Books with Chris Liss every week. They just had a show. They just dropped an episode shortly before the show. 52.38% of bets, when you're making these prop bets, these game bets, 52.38% is your break-even number. And professionals are only hitting the 55% mark. Think about that. Think about how lean that line is. Sports betting is a crazy thing. It's growing ever fast. Here's my man, Alan Seslowsky, at Alan Seslowsky on Twitter. Alan, how are you doing, my brother?
You really did watch that video, right? That disclaimer was more useful than the bet information themselves, wasn't it?
Yeah. When I saw that, I mean, I've heard that before. Like, I thought it was more closer to like the 57% area, but 55% being professional, like I knew it was in that area, but 55% is a lot. Like when you think about 52.38 to 55, it's like,
well, it's a lot. But it's not a small amount. Like 1% is a lot. So think about this. Like if you play blackjack and they increase the odds, they fix the game so you were 1% more likely to win, you would be profitable. That little margin is the difference between losing your money in any game and breaking even. So yeah, it's just, I think a lot of people just think like they could just go bet like 7 or 8 games, and win half at a time and be fine. But obviously the professionals, when we talk about sports betting, they always bet they pick their favorite 2 games, 3 games tops. And then you have to, it just to even win a little more than half is at the pro level, as you just said.
It's pretty unreal that you can make a career or profession out of sports betting. But just like you just said, you find that fine line, you find your little niche and you're there. But today, really quickly, we're going to get through our favorite bets of the week. That's why I brought Alan on. We want to see he's been on a heater lately. I know he's got some good picks for you guys. So I want to hear, Alan, what is your second favorite prop or bet, game line, whatever it may be of the week? What do you got?
Yeah, I want to give full credit to my friends over at the Sharp app. If you download their app, I mean, they have been absolutely on fire. So at this point, I'm not even going to be trusting my own judgment. I'm just literally taking their picks. It's my friends over at DFS Army. They started a new gambling service, sports betting service, and they hit again last night with Sterling Shepard over 5.5 receptions. So for me, the one that stood out to me is Allen Robinson. It's 5.5 receptions. that seems like it's almost stealing money. I mean, even last week in a down week for Allen Robinson, he still caught 6 passes, had 11 targets. It was a low yardage, but they are going to force feed him every week. He is their primary option. I know that you and I both, and a lot of people like Darnell Mooney, but we don't think he's going to be force fed targets. I think Cole Kmet is likely to have more targets than Mooney. So what does that mean? That means Allen Robinson is on tap for another 10, 11, 12, 13 targets this week. The matchup is fine against Cincinnati. I mean, there's no reason why he can't catch 6, 7, 8 passes. I think that one's a smash. I'm going to go pretty heavy on Allen Robinson there.
I got him on Chidobe Awuzie this week. I think that's a great matchup. Last week, we faded him. We took the under on 63.5 receiving yards. We hit on that. So I'm happy about that one. But like you just said, he's due for a bounce back. It's Cincinnati, and they don't have the best cornerbacks. So I'm all in on that. For me,
but even if it's a low yardage total, I mean, he's going to catch 6 passes, even if he gets tackled right away, you know?
Yeah. No, that was so what I was saying about that number. That number was from last week, the 63.5 I took the under on. But this week, like, he's due for that bounce back. Like what you just said, 10, 11 targets. Like, I can see that all day of the week, every day of the week. So I'm definitely in on that. My second favorite of the week is Adam Thielen. He gets the young buck Marco Wilson in Arizona. Wilson coming in at 119 out of 120 in the cornerback rankings this week. So way down there. He gave up 5 for 72 last week against the Titans, and that the Titans offense did not look good, and he still got burnt. He's pretty fast, but he's playing in a whole different league right now coming out of Florida. I know you're a Florida guy, so I want to see if you got a little thought process on Marco Wilson, but I love the Adam Thielen over 4.5 receptions this week.
Do you notice that these props, like if you really comb through them, some of them you can't even believe how soft they are, right? What is the juice on the Adam Thielen one if you take over 4.5 receptions? Is it like a minus 130? Is it even money? That's the thing about the Allen Robinson one, is that it was pretty close to even money. So I mean, yeah, obviously you could find any prop, and if there's heavy juice on it, you can stay away. But even if I don't want you to scramble to look for it. But
no, I got it.
Yeah, that seems like an easy layup. Oh my God, I'm writing that one down. So I'm gonna go put a little few shekels on that one as well.
So the places you can find it at, so DraftKings has it at 4.5, and they're at minus 150. But if you go to Underdog has it at 5.5. It was 6, so it came down a half. It was at 6 receptions, and that's even money on DraftKings. But you have to take 2 picks. You can't just bet 1 pick straight up. Yeah, so that's an unfortunate thing on Underdog. But yeah,
let me ask you this though: why do you think prop betting has become in vogue lately over the last year and a half, 2 years? I mean, sports betting has had momentum forever, but prop betting really I see sites popping up doing it. People are interested in it. What do you think it is about prop betting that's so appealing?
Fantasy football. For me, it's like some of these games like this week, there's a lot of games this week that I don't want to bet on straight. Like the lines, I'm just not there. I like betting the over-unders, but this week I'm just not there. But every week I can find props that I'm just like, all right, I got this dude in fantasy. Maybe I'm fading him in fantasy. Take the under. Maybe I love his matchups like I do with a number of these guys this week, and that's why a lot of my picks are going over. It's because I found some very nice spots that I'm attacking, and I think fantasy has just driven props up even higher and higher.
Yeah, I think that we're headed towards a marketplace once sports betting is completely legal across the 50 states, where you can prop bet live through your voice on the next play. I mean, I'm literally like, if you have, a Google or Amazon right in your house, and then you could just say, you could bet if the next play is a pass or a run in real time. I mean, that is where this is going.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting, to be honest, because like I love watching golf. I'll bet on golf all day. I'll bet, going into the week, and then live they'll have, all right, hole number 11, hole number 12. Who do you got? Rory versus Bryson. I love that right there. So if they can bring that and somehow transition it straight into the NFL, and you're going to be watching a game, sitting on your couch with a Coke in your hand, eating popcorn, you just go, hey, Siri, touchdown on the next play. And they give you the odds, and you just click. And that's you're tapping into a whole different world with that.
Yeah, I mean, and think about what that will do for NFL ratings, for engagement, so they have to be on board with it as this thing is becoming more legal. And it would just make fantasy more. It would be interesting to see what fantasy games develop off that as well.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So, Alan, give me your number 1 prop of the week. What do you got?
Yeah, I couldn't even believe this was a real prop, because I had to like wipe the crust out of my eye to make sure it was real. But Jonathan Taylor, what do you think the under over for receiving yards is for him this week? Now, just let me give, while you're thinking that through, last week, Jonathan Taylor caught 6 of 7 targets, right? And he had plenty of yards with that as well. So what do you think the receiving prop against they're playing the Rams this week? Okay, tough, but still, it doesn't matter. He's a running back. So what do you think the number, what would you, if you was Cody's casino, what would you set the number at?
So there's 2 different questions there, because I saw this prop a couple days ago, and
okay.
but I saw the number. What I would set it at versus what I saw it at are 2 different things. I would set it in the probably 30 to 34 area, 30, 34.
Wow,
I would set it, right?
Uh-huh.
I think I saw it at 21.5.
13.5.
What?
Yeah.
That's like one catch.
Yeah. It's certainly 2 catches. And if he gets 5 catches again or 6, I think they're betting on maybe that it's they're using the first game as an outlier. They're kind of discounting that. So if you can find that number, anything close to that, over 13.5 receiving yards for Jonathan Taylor, and the juice wasn't that heavy on it. I think when I looked at it, it was like 118 or 114, something like that. See if you could find it in your prop book. Are you seeing it there? Or, I mean, it takes some of the times it's a pain in the ass to find these props. What you got to do is you need voice activated prop finding. Hey, let me see the running back, whatever it is. But yeah, that one, it was a smash, and that one came right from my friends over at Sharp App. So that's what they're good at. These like nerds, which is, I'm saying that was in term of endearment, comb through these things with a fine tooth comb, and they pull out these gold, and you can't believe it. The prop market is soft. Now there's limits to what you can bet on them. You can't bet $5,000 on that prop. It's probably limited at like $80 or $100 for the prop. But Jonathan Taylor over 13.5 receiving yards, you agree is a smash over, right?
Smash. Like you said, he had 6 receptions last week for 60. I think, if I remember right, a year ago, he did the same exact thing in week 1, and then week 2, week 3, he fell off, if we all remember that. But like, are they really playing that? They're playing that he's going to, he had a big week 1 last year, and now he's going to fall off again. I don't see that shit happening. I got it at 15.5 on DraftKings right now, so it's up 2 yards. So I still like that, though. It's at minus 115. Still take that. That's literally
so this prop might be
2 receptions like all day for Jonathan Taylor.
It just might be a couple days old. That's why it was 13.5. And as sharp people were betting it over and over and over. And again, I don't even think you have to be too sharp to bet that one. I mean, who's going to bet? And if you bet the under, you're really just if you bet the over, the only thing you're really worried about is an early game injury, right? I mean, but who can predict that?
Because like the Rams are tough to run on, but I don't know. I think the Rams are going to be winning this game, but I'm going to go on to my favorite of the week. Noah Fant, the tight end in Denver, last week after Jerry Jeudy was out, because now we know Jerry Jeudy had the high ankle sprain. He's out 3 weeks minimum, etc. After he was out, Tim Patrick ran 8 routes, Sutton 7, Hamler 5, and Fant ran 6. The bigger point of this whole thing right here in Denver, during that entire game, Jerry Jeudy had 15 slot routes. Noah Fant was second on the team with 12. So Judy's out. That's 15 slot routes open. Fant was second, had 12. I think Fant gets pushed more in on here. I'm taking the over on 46.5 yards. And on DraftKings, he's down $100. So I'm starting him on a lot of lineups this week. So if you need a value tight end, he's 4,200 is not bad for Noah Fant. And I think he's going to give you a pretty good output.
I think that's a really sharp play, and I'll tell you why. Because what's everybody talking about this week with Denver? They're saying, hey, who's going to score more fantasy points, KJ Hamler or Tim Patrick? Nobody's – you're forgetting about the tight end, the all-star tight end that was drafted in the first round, which Teddy Bridgewater presumably loves throwing the ball to. I love that play. I'm going to start putting him up in some of my lineups.
Look at the 6 for 62, 8 targets last week, and the workout metrics. Do I need to say anything? Best comparable to George Kittle? Like,
why do you think
you're stepping over this? Like, I get Tim Patrick. He it's like the recency thing. Like, they saw it last year. Tim Patrick can eat. KJ Hamler's speed, but you're forgetting about the most dynamic player on the team. And I don't know. But hey,
what do you think it is? Why do you think Noah Fant consistently gets overlooked? Is it because he was in the same class and the same college team as Hawkinson?
Yes. The national media has pushed Hawkinson higher because of opportunity, and last year you had Stafford and Denver just had like an inept quarterback. We talked about that back in April. I talked about that on your show, Teddy Bridgewater and that whole situation. But Denver's just not as they're both ugly places, but Denver's a tougher one to get sold on, I guess. And there's Judy there, Hamler, the running backs,
and where they were drafted too. I mean, Hawkinson was a top 10 real NFL pick, whereas Fant went a little bit later in the first round. So that could have something to do with it.
But I still I'm not fading Fant at all. So I'm going to throw up my picks of the week. I have Thielen over 4.5, Fant. I know they're all overs, but that's what I look for. I'm not a big under guy. I love finding things that I like that I think are too low. You're going to go over. I love fantasy. If you don't like fantasy, I don't think you like overs. Devonta Smith over 49.5. He's the number one in that offense. They're playing in San Francisco. They're down a lot of cornerbacks. Amari Cooper over 5.5. CeeDee Lamb over 5.5 receptions. That's going to be probably the game of the week shootout. I don't see how either of these guys go under 7. And, we saw it last week. I think it was 17 and 15 targets apiece. And then Miles Sanders over 2.5. San Francisco's got a good front 7, bad back end. Jalen Hurts is going to be running, passing to Miles Sanders. I think he had 5 receptions last week. I'm taking that right now. But Alan, I appreciate you hopping on. You can find Alan at Alan Seslowsky on Twitter. He's over at RotoWire on the YouTube channel. Damn near every day, it feels like. Alan, you got anything else for everybody?
Yeah, I was just going to tell you, do you have a minute for me to tell you a quick story about the over?
100%.
Okay, so you're talking about like how you like betting overs. And have you ever done a lightning bet before? You ever heard of this, a lightning bet?
No, I have not. I want to hear
Okay, so what a lightning bet is, let's say you do $100 lightning bet. Yeah. So if you do $100, it's every point it goes over the over, you get $100. For every point it's under, you lose $100. So if you ever, so try a lightning bet one time on an NBA game and watch. It's like a pinball machine if it goes to overtime. You could do a $5 lightning bet, right? Just to keep it like, so every point it goes over the over, you get $5. That's how a lightning bet works. And then the $5 on the other. So one time I did a lightning bet. It was a Knicks, I think Atlanta Hawks, like overtime game. And that thing it was double overtime. And it was just like a cash register, man. You just sort of think every time a bucket scores, you're like hugging your neighbor. So lightning bet is for a real man.
I gotta find this lightning bet. That sounds like completely I don't
bonkers.
Know. It's bonkers. Yeah. The adrenaline that would cause you watching the game, and you're like, I remember last night it was, I think they kicked a field goal, got to 40. I know it went way over the over by the end of the game, but at one point it was like 40, and I was like, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna do it? And then it went way over. But that adrenaline that it gives you right at the end of the game, I love that. But
Cody, I think this is an awesome show. I think this is a great concept. I know you're going to be successful with this as you are with everything else. You're my guy. I appreciate you having me on, and I'm bookmarking the show. I'm going to be watching it each week. So
appreciate you, Alan. We're going to keep going. We're going to drop Alan. Go follow him on Twitter at Alan Seslowsky. Check out all of his work over at RotoWire. Thank you, Alan. All right, guys, we're still going. 5 more minutes. We're going to go through a couple of the games that I like. I don't like the totals. I don't like the lines, but I'm going with a couple of single-team lines. The New York Jets under 17.5. The New England Patriots dominate rookie quarterbacks. Bill Belichick specifically, 17.5 against New England. Keeping it low. I don't think New York's going to even put up 13. I don't think they hit 10. I think New England dominates start to end. Philadelphia over 23.5, getting San Francisco at home. Give me the over. I think Jalen Hurts matches up very well against San Francisco, and I think this is going to be a sneaky shootout. The LA Chargers, we always talked about this one. This is the one that I have the least confidence in, but I still like it because I think this game is going to be a shootout, and I'd rather have the Chargers over than the game over. Over 29, I'll take it. And then, like I mentioned earlier, Houston under 17. I think Houston's a bad football team. I think last week was a fluke. And they're going into Cleveland, and Cleveland's going to dominate start to finish. Now, I got one last pick today. One last pick. And it's the hammer of the week, the prop of the week. And it goes to none other than the same guy last week that had 68.5 total, I think it was, Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds, 72.5 total yards. Smash the over. I talked to a guy who may be friends with a couple players. Eric Kendricks had a limited practice today. He didn't practice yesterday. Kendricks is at about a 5 to 10% chance of playing this weekend. I think he's out. Barr is already out. Everson Griffin's already labeled out. The Vikings defense gave up 149 yards on the ground, 30 in the air to Joe Mixon last week. Give me Chase Edmonds. They're going to need Chase Edmonds. I think they're going to get up early on Minnesota, sadly. I think Minnesota's going to fight back, but I think that only helps Chase Edmonds. James Conner is the closest thing to dust we've seen. So give me the prop of the week, Chase Edmonds, over 72.5 total yards. I saw this thing all the way down to 68.5 this week. It's been moving up to 72.5. I think it's only going to go up even more after the now questionable, soon-to-be out Eric Kendricks. When that comes out on Sunday, it's going to be too late. So jump on the Chase Edmonds train. If not, I appreciate you guys hopping on this week, and we'll be back next week with another guest next Friday, 1 p.m. Check it out. Thank you, guys.